I'm going to present a scientifically charged report which is based on data, numbers, facts, and figures. It's going to be very scientific in temperament, and you may not be able to follow it in totality. But trust me, what it means in very simple words is wokeness is a mental disorder. In the 2015 article and subsequent 2018 book, The Coddling of the American Mind, Greg Lukianoff and Jonathan Haidt assert that cognitive distortions such as catastrophizing, black and white thinking, overgeneralizing, discounting positives, and emotional reasoning, combined with the overprotection of children, contribute to an external locus of control, helplessness, and despair. This, they argue, underpins both the current mental health crisis and the pervasive culture of illiberalism on college campuses. The major concerns from their 2015 article have proven prescient, with threats to academic freedom and free speech on campuses increasing dramatically since 2014 and more acutely since 2017. Concurrently, the mental health of young people has deteriorated more significantly than anticipated. Reports from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration indicate consistent and rapid increases in rates of suicide and depression among teens 12 to 17 and young adults 18 to 25 since at least 2012. Nearly 20% of teens and a similar percentage of young adults experienced a major depressive episode last year, compared to just 7% of adults over 25 and 9% of teens and young adults in 2012. The cause of this decline in mental health is a critical question. The recent documentary, The Coddling of the American Mind, directed by Ted Balaker, explores how what Tim Urban calls social justice fundamentalism, a term they find inadequate, has led some students into feelings of hopelessness and despair. However, this reflects the experiences of a few. Is there a significant link between illiberal ideologies on college campuses and the mental health decline of students? To investigate, responses from FIRE's 2024 college free speech rankings were analyzed, focusing on two questions. Are students with poor self-reported mental health more supportive of illiberal protest? Are students on the ideological left more prone to poor mental health? The survey, involving 55,102 students across 254 schools, asked 5 questions about their mental health. Number 1, how often do you feel anxious? Number 2, how often do you feel lonely or isolated? Number 3, how often do you feel depressed? Number 4, how often do you feel like you have no time for yourself? Number 5, how often do you feel stressed, frustrated, or overwhelmed? Responses ranged from never to always. The survey did not involve professional mental health evaluations. It only captured students' subjective experiences. According to the 2022 SAMHSA National Survey on Drug Use and Health, 36.2% of respondents aged 18 to 25 reported a diagnosable mental illness in the past year. The data revealed that liberal students report worse mental health than their moderate and conservative peers. Notably, 57% of very liberal students reported poor mental health at least half of the time, compared to 34% of very conservative students. The trend shows that as students become more liberal, their mental health worsens. This pattern is consistent across genders, with female and non-binary students more frequently reporting poor mental health. Specifically, 41% of very liberal males, 60% of very liberal females, and 70% of very liberal non-binary students reported poor mental health more than half the time. The decline is more rapid among non-binary students as they move from moderate to very liberal. Moreover, acceptance of illiberal protest is high, especially among liberal and non-binary students. Around 80% of non-binary students, regardless of ideology, accept illiberal protest. Among female students, acceptance ranges from 30% to 75%, and among male students, it is similar. Poor mental health seems to increase tolerance for illiberal protest, particularly among conservative males. The connection between mental health and acceptance of illiberal protests might be linked to cognitive distortions. Students' intense feelings and fears justify their acceptance of extreme actions. To address the mental health crisis, better habits must be taught and reinforced. Historically, men have supported free speech more than women, who have higher rates of mood disorders. Liberals have also historically been less happy and more depressed than conservatives. Lukianoff and Haidt observed this phenomenon while working on the coddling of the American mind. The situation has only worsened. Gregg suggests that the shift from the left liberalism of the 1990s to today's left progressivism and social justice fundamentalism has exacerbated the problem. Social justice fundamentalism incorporates cognitively distorted ways of thinking, contributing to depression and anxiety. For example, intersectionality, a key concept in social justice fundamentalism, overgeneralizes and blames, leading to a sense of helplessness and a lack of control. Most people in the United States are labeled oppressed under intersectional analysis, which can be especially harmful to women's mental health. DEI trainers often tell women they can do little to change their status, leading to feelings of constant guilt and isolation. This approach is counterproductive for building a positive movement. Activists who feel powerless and believe the world is unchangeable are unlikely to drive meaningful change. The data indicates that illiberal ideology has left students on the left more miserable than ever. Schools should reconsider the cognitive distortions their policies endorse and avoid encouraging students to catastrophize or adopt learned helplessness. Instead, students should engage in difficult conversations and avoid echo chambers. They should develop anti-fragility, thriving on challenges and becoming stronger. Lukianoff and Haidt argued that teaching youth mental habits of anxious and depressed people has unsurprisingly led to negative mental health outcomes. Teaching anti-fragility, valuing dissent, and understanding that exposure to opposing views strengthens one's capabilities can improve the mental health of young people over time.